They lust for power more than they care about democracy.
During an Instagram Live last night, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez discussed a close encounter during the Capitol riots where she feared for her life and also went on to rip apart GOP cowards that are still protecting Donald Trump. So before I get to that second clip where she really goes in on Republicans, let me first play this clip here where I guess this hadn't been disclosed up till now that there was a moment during the Capitol riots where AOC feared for her life. Watch this.
As for myself, I had a pretty traumatizing event happen to me. And I do not know if I can even disclose the full details of that event due to security concerns. But I can tell you that I had a very close encounter where I thought I was going to die. And you have all of those thoughts where, at the end of your life, and all of these thoughts come rushing to you. And that's what happened to a lot of us.
So here we have some more insight into how serious these riots were. As I've discussed before, there were countless people in those riots that had weapons, had bombs, Molotov cocktails, apparently had some inside help, either from the Capitol Police or potentially Congress people, as I'll get to in a second here, but showing you that they could not even trust the police that were there to protect them because of the people that potentially were helping at the time. And of course, you don't always know the political ideology of law enforcement that are meant to protect you, but at least several Capitol Police were a part of helping in these riots. As I've discussed as well, 2 Capitol Police officers have been suspended in connection with last week's insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. So these are the 2 that I know of so far. There may be more coming. I believe 10 others are also being investigated. So we saw, as I covered at the time, one officer was taking selfies with the rioters. Another one, or a few others, were opening the gates for them to get closer to the Capitol. So when you have law enforcement that are supposed to be there to protect you, when you have them working directly with the rioters, it's actually amazing that there wasn't more injury, death, and destruction during the riots to lawmakers specifically. Now, as I also mentioned here, a Colorado Republican tweeted about Pelosi's location during the Capitol siege. She's now facing calls to resign. So this happened during the riots. Lauren Boebert here tweeted out, "We were locked in the House chambers." This is at, I believe, 2 p.m. Yeah, 2:17 p.m. On the day. And then says, "The speaker has been removed from the chambers." Why is she tweeting this out? So this is the kind of thing where they're told not to discuss where they are at the time, what they're doing, for obvious reasons. Yet here you have a diehard Trump supporter now in Congress tweeting out the location of Nancy Pelosi. So it is amazing, as I said, that more people weren't hurt during this. Now let me get to the next clip here. This goes maybe about 4 minutes, but AOC does an incredible job here just tearing apart Republicans.
We know that Donald Trump cannot be president. We know that we cannot wait until January 19th. We cannot wait until January 20th. We cannot wait until Inauguration Day. He cannot be president right now. He should not have been president yesterday. He should not have been president the night of the attack. Because Republicans and the people around him are cowards, they will not do it. The president's cabinet, you have Secretary Elaine Chao, who is the wife of Mitch McConnell, by the way. Does that seem a little conflict of interest, inappropriate? I don't know. But regardless, she was the Secretary of Transportation. She resigned. Betsy DeVos has resigned. Acting Secretary of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, has resigned. And all of them are resigning rather than fulfilling their duties in enacting the 25th Amendment and removing the President of the United States. I have a message for anyone who is resigning after Wednesday. Too late. Too late. You're not going to resign after Wednesday and act like you weren't a part of it. Were you secretary on Wednesday? Yes, you were. You were a part of it. Were you secretary every single step leading up to Wednesday? Yes, then you were a part of it. You don't get to allow for an attack that kills 5 people. And then afterwards, you say, I wasn't a part of it. Yes, you were. You were a part of it when you caged kids. You were a part of it when you repealed Title IX. You were a part of it when the president committed the first dozen number of crimes that he committed. You were a part of it when you excused the law breaking. You were a part of it. You were a part of it. You were a part of it. Those 5 people's blood is on your hands. What are you going to do? And they think that resigning is going to clean that blood off their hands. It is always on them. They are forever stained with the deaths of 5 people, especially when they did not invoke the 25th Amendment to remove this president when they had the power to do so. Cowards. Cowards. Couldn't even stand up in the memory of these officers that they pretend to care about. That they pretend to care about. I don't want to hear or see the Republican Party talk about blue lives ever again. This was never about safety for them. It was always a slogan. Because if they actually cared about rule of law, they would speak up when people break the law. They would speak up. They would enforce fairness and equity, but they don't give a damn about the law. They don't give a damn about order. They don't give a damn about safety. They give a damn about white supremacy. They care about preserving the social order and the mythology of whiteness than the grandeur of our democracy. That's what they care about. They lust for power more than they care about democracy. That's what those people did when they voted to overturn the results of our free and fair elections. And you can barely call them that with the amount of voter suppression that they have engaged in across the country. It is generous, to say the least, to call them that. And so with all of the rules rigged in their favor, the Electoral College is built on a compromise with slavers. The Senate is rigged in their favor. Gerrymandered districts are rigged in the Republicans' favor. This presidency and the law breaking and the pardons of people who have betrayed our country, all of it rigged in their favor, and they can't even win with the whole deck stacked with them. They can't even win with the deck stacked in their favor. And so what they are willing to do is set a match and light our entire democracy on fire so that they can uphold the social order of white supremacy. That's what this is about. Straight up. This is about thinking that if an election doesn't reinforce your power, then you believe it is fundamentally illegitimate. And why do you think it's illegitimate? And how do you try to delegitimize our elections? By saying Black people shouldn't vote. By saying Latino people shouldn't be full U.S. citizens. By trying to take away, strip citizenship away from people who already have it. We're not even getting to the denial of citizenship, a full civic personhood that this party engages in. We're talking about them trying to strip the citizenship away from anybody who isn't them. Anybody. And that's what this is about. That's what this is about.
All right. It's kind of hard to follow that, as she breaks it down perfectly. The cowards in his cabinet that would not move to remove him, using the 25th Amendment. That's why it's there, to remove a president who is crazy, Instead, they resign, showing you that they are fully aware of how crazy he is. But instead of using their power to remove him, they leave simply to attempt to protect their own reputation, their own careers, their own livelihoods. The cowardice cannot be overstated. And of course, Republicans that are still defending him here, I mean, obviously this is all done for self-preservation. They're all trying to win over the completely lunatic GOP base that is 95% with Donald Trump. They're doing whatever they can to try and retain that base for themselves while attempting to somehow move forward from this era without dealing with what's in front of you. These people are absolutely disgusting. And look, I've discussed, a lot of my videos are also criticizing Democrats and not going far enough in terms of policy, but you have to acknowledge the obvious difference when it comes to a party that is based on fascism now versus a party that, yes, is controlled by corporations, yes, does not, for the most part, serve the best interests of people, but it is not a fascist party. There is a clear difference here, and you have members of his own cabinet, instead of removing him, stepping down to save themselves. It's disgusting. And of course, I mean, everything else she said, the system is rigged in their favor, and they still lost the election. The amount of voter suppression that goes on, and Republicans still lose these elections. The Electoral College exists to help them, and they still lose these elections. I mean, if there was actually a true democracy in America, you would have one person, one vote. Your vote would count the same as anybody else in the country, and Republicans would never win another election. The vast majority of people are not on their side. And when you look at the issues when it comes to policy, look at support for issues like universal health care, for raising taxes on the wealthy, for ending the wars. Everybody is on the side of those progressive policies. So if you actually had a true democracy that didn't have the corporate control, that didn't have this system that props up Republican lawmakers, you would have a democracy that would actually represent the people with policies that actually support and help people. But right now, you don't have that. And the GOP are just the extreme showcase of that, which also, it's important to note here that once Trump is gone, this isn't over. This is still the party. This is what the Republican Party is. So Trump isn't, his own thing. When Trump is gone, these people still exist, these voters still exist, these lawmakers still exist. This energy is going to continue. Right-wing extremism has been on the rise for years, before Donald Trump came to power. That's not going away. So they'll find another figurehead, they'll find something else to do, they will continue to push the limits of what is acceptable, which is why every step of the way you have to hold these people accountable.